Hello, everybody. My name is Anka, and today we are here with Bianca Osbourne for the Audacious Explorer episode. It's episode number 4, and we are talking about healthy food. And Bianca will give us more tips about how we can prepare healthy meals on a budget and basically stay healthy, even if we are caught in a very tight schedule. Hey, Bianca, happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about your journey. What brought you to making this?
Well, I started as a chef, so I went to chef school and learned how to be a chef. But at that same time, I gained a lot of weight. So after culinary school, I started a catering company with one of my best friends. And we just were on different pages. So what I ended up doing was going back to nutrition school. I started teaching cooking lessons, like healthy cooking lessons. I started my own brick and mortar wellness kitchen where we did like meal planning, catering, anything to do with culinary education that had like a healthy slant. And now I'm a private chef. So I go to people's homes, I prepare them meals, and just, again, anything to do with helping people promote their wellness through delicious food. And what I noticed in the last 7 years of doing this is that people have a really hard time meal planning. It's one of the biggest stressors, I think, when it comes to eating healthy, getting healthier. So, I mean, I have so much experience doing that, like little tips and tricks that I use myself to help plan meals for clients. So I just decided to start teaching people how to do that, because that's really where I think things can go well, or they can sort of fall off the rails, is if people don't have a really good plan of attack when trying to start eating healthy. So that's sort of how I've come to becoming a meal planning expert and a professional chef and a holistic nutritionist.
That sounds really cool. I'm wondering if, I understand that you basically provide a plan and then you help people also shop for the ingredients. Maybe some of them want to have you over to cook for them, and some of them are just good on their own, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of depends. So if it's like, I have two types of clients. I have clients who want to learn how to do it for themselves. So I teach them cooking classes. I give them all the meal planning strategies. And then there's clients who just don't want anything to do with the kitchen. They just want me to come over, cook everything, leave it in the fridge, and then they just get to eat it. So I have two different sides of my business. Both are really exciting for me. One is way more hands-on, which is like the private chef just going and making food. And the other is more educational. So I'm there helping them learn how to do it, but more coaching as opposed to actually doing.
Yeah. So you are based in Toronto, right?
Yes.
If anybody in Toronto wants a private chef, there you go.
Call me.
Yeah. And did you do your, so you went to nutrition school. Did you do it in Toronto?
No, I'm originally from Edmonton, Alberta, which is like a interior province. It's a city. It's a very small city compared to Toronto for sure. So I went to culinary school there, and I did nutrition school online through the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition.
Okay. So as I take it from you, there was the moment when you kind of started being a chef, and then you realized that it wasn't for you. What else played into your decision of building your own business?
Well, I found that the chef world is just not my speed. It's very fast paced. I like to cook and like sort of take my time, listen to music, be like really airy fairy about it. And in a like commercial professional kitchen, it's very fast paced. It's very male oriented. I didn't like that energy either. And I just realized that I wanted to cook and make food and be a part of that creative process, but I did not like the framework of commercial kitchens. So I just decided to do my own thing. I mean, I knew pretty well while I was in school that commercial kitchen cooking was not going to be for me. So when I ended culinary school, me and my friend, we started a catering company, and that was sort of it was what I wanted to do, but it was just, we weren't on the same page. And that's why I eventually decided to just be a solopreneur and do my own thing, because I like to be in control.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
So I'm very big now. I'm reading this book, Robert Kiyosaki's book. It's called The Cash Flow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you read
I
it?
know Robert Kiyosaki, but I haven't read the book.
Yeah. So it's all about how self-employed people think that they are the best at everything and they want to do it their way. And probably the soundtrack to their lives is I did it my way.
Yeah, right. But the thing is, when I had my brick and mortar kitchen, I tried to do it myself. And what ended up happening was I was just so burnt out. Like I was injuring myself all the time. And so I ended up hiring my cousin, who's also one of my best friends, as my business manager. And that changed the game. So for entrepreneurs out there who think that they can do it all themselves and they're trying to grow a big, especially a physical location building, my first recommendation is bring on help so that you can focus on the things that you're good at and they can focus on the other stuff.
Yeah, that's a very smart tip, being able to delegate. And basically, I guess that now you have the space and the time to invest yourself into what really is your passion and what you really enjoy doing.
And you really can grow your business more when you're focusing on your zone of genius. Because I am a chef, I'm a nutritionist, I love making food and planning and conceptualizing meals, but I don't like accounting. I don't like marketing necessarily. And so I was getting bogged down with those tasks because they take me forever because I don't like doing it. And when I finally brought in someone to do that end of things, my business was able to grow because I was able to focus on the stuff that I was good at.
Yeah, that's really, really important what you're saying. I've heard a lot of excuses, and I think that I used this excuse at the beginning. I do not have the money to hire other people, but you do not realize that by actually investing, because you can create that opportunity of making that money, you then have the space to basically what you said, to grow exponentially, just because you are focusing on something that is really your space of genius, your zone of genius.
Well, and I also think that people, they think they need to go out and hire someone full time, pay them $50,000 a year. You can go to a university and get an intern that's doing marketing or accounting. So they're getting hours to go toward their schooling. And I'm also getting the benefit of their skills. They're not professionals yet. So you're able to pay a lower price. They're getting experience. You're getting their skills. So there's ways to work around not having a lot of money right out of the gates. But the most important thing is you have to realize that that's an investment you make in your business that will prove itself to you. You just have to take the leap.
Yeah. Wow. That's really, really cool. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot of debate, right, about healthy food and what is healthy and what is not healthy. What is your perspective on that?
I think healthy eating, simply put, is really a focus on simplicity. So first you have to focus on yourself, because if you're a vegan and you prescribe to that diet, but you struggle to digest grains and you're eating veganism and there's lots of grains and your stomach hurts and you're bloated, what is healthy by definition is not healthy for you. Similarly, if you're eating a paleo diet because you heard someone lost a lot of weight on it and you struggle to digest meat, what is a healthy diet for someone else can be damaging to your gut lining, can be damaging to your body, not make you feel good. So I think people have to really, of course, remove processed foods, processed fats, all that kind of stuff. But then really think about it of when you eat something, how do you feel? And then go forth with that information, because I think it's no one size fits all. Healthy is different for everyone because we're all different.
Yeah. So do you help your clients also experiment and see what is it that the best diet would be for them?
Yeah, we just talk really frankly about how food makes them feel. I think a lot of people, they'll eat something and they'll get a stomach ache or they'll be tired afterward, and they think that that's just normal. And they just think, oh, well, that's what happens when I eat that. But it's no, your body is giving you a clear sign that it doesn't like that. And so really it's just about bringing it back into focus and listening to your body when you eat food. How do you feel? And that takes about a week to 2 weeks to really start to get a good idea. But if this is a lifestyle you're stepping into, it shouldn't matter how long it takes to figure it out, because this is your life going forward. So I think a lot of people want change right now. They want to figure it out right now, today, this moment, but it takes a minute to figure it out. But once you figure it out, then again, you can go forth with that information.
Yeah, I hear you. It was the same for me. I struggled 1 year to give up sugar, industrial sugar, and I thought it was impossible. I really thought it would be impossible for me. I really like chocolate and pastries and things like that. But when I saw the benefits, I stopped for maybe, I did I made a test, right? So in 1 week, I saw the benefits. I lost like a lot of weight in just 1 week.
Oh, wow.
And then I saw it on my face, and I was like, okay, now I believe in this.
Yeah.
It was easier for me to basically keep this decision going, because sometimes you take a decision to, okay, I'm gonna eat healthy, right? And then you go traveling. So we are gonna talk about this too. When you are traveling, it's quite difficult to keep the same routines.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you have any tips on that?
Like, for just going back to your sugar conversation quickly, I think people need to, when they think about eating healthier, put a purpose on it. So is it because you want better immunity because you find yourself always getting sick? Is it because you want better digestion because your stomach always hurts? I mean, when you eat for those results, those take a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then you start feeling the benefits. And then the byproduct of eating for good digestion, good immunity, ends up being weight loss. So I always tell people, if they're trying to lose weight, don't focus on losing weight. Focus on all these other benefits that you see much quicker, because that will give you the staying power to reach the weight loss goal. So I just wanted to touch on that. But as far as traveling, I think it's really important to do your homework. Like, if you're going somewhere, I mean, we all have access to the internet for the most part. So I just say, go online, look where you're staying, look where you're going, and look for the places, look for grocery stores, plan out, a breakfast or at least one meal a day that is going to be able to satisfy some of your health requirements. So if, there's a place where you're staying that's, offers smoothies, make sure you go get a smoothie every day just to make sure that you're eating at least one healthy meal. I mean, it's vacation, so you want to enjoy yourself, but if you can cover your bum for, 1 or 2 meals eating healthily, then you're going to feel much better by the time the vacation's over. And if you can also rent a place with a kitchen, it's going to make a huge difference, because then you can control some of the meals that you eat, some of the meals that you make. And then when you go out, you can just, throw caution to the wind and eat whatever you want, at least knowing that you can have a healthy breakfast, you can have a healthy lunch, because you can make it. So I think that's my biggest tip, is get a place with a kitchen if you're staying somewhere.
Yeah. What about, so like, I'm a digital nomad and I travel for months throughout the year, and then I stay somewhere for some months. And I don't really like doing this homework. You get on a thing, like all the research beforehand. I find it so time consuming.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that I could do?
I think if you don't want to do research, then just get a place with a kitchen. By just being there, walking down the street, you'll probably find a grocery store. Ask a local. That's, one of the best ways to enjoy a place that you go is to ask people who live there. What's the best grocery store? Where can I get this? Where can I get that? Locals generally want to help you enjoy their city really well. So take advantage of that. And I think that's the best advice I could give you, because then it doesn't really matter what's around you or what your options are around you. Because if you stay in a hotel and there's no kitchen, you're really bound to what the hotels have to offer, what's around you, what's in the city. But if you have a kitchen, you have some more control. That's really it. But it's also vacation. So for people who are going on vacation, you want to enjoy yourself too, but if you can put a little bit of like measures in place to eat healthy at least one meal a day, you're going to be ahead of the game by the end of your vacation.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. Something that was quite helpful for me was when I realized, so before I used to diet a lot, like I was making liquid days just for detox and constantly taking care of what I was eating. And then I realized that it's not really like I would, for example, on Sundays, I would eat pizza and Ben & Jerry's. And then I would, okay, on Monday, I'm going to do this liquid day.
Yeah. I see that a lot.
Yeah. That doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't. You're actually better off taking like daily measures. So for instance, having lemon and water in the morning. No matter most places you go in the world, you can probably find lemon juice somewhere, and that'll just help optimize your liver and your digestion for whatever's to come. You drink that in the morning on an empty stomach and just like room temperature water. Also, if you go somewhere, making sure to walk, if you're wherever you are, like walking is such a big part of my life because it's unconscious exercise. You have to get somewhere, so you walk there, but it's not like you have to go to the gym to do it. But that again keeps your body moving, keeps your digestion going, and just sort of like keeps everything working in proper order. So I think instead of, eating really badly and then doing like a juice cleanse and then eating really badly and doing like a juice cleanse, which is just like a hamster wheel spinning, you're better off just every day making a point to have balance. That's really what it's about, balance, because we also want to live our lives and have a great time and enjoy the foods that we want, but we also don't want to feel sluggish and gross. So just balance it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, talking again about sugar, for example, and like alcohol, I gave up alcohol too. I saw a lot of energy, like from the moment when kind of my body started cleaning. I felt so much more energy, and I used to sleep like 12 hours per night before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was like, I needed a lot of sleep, and I was constantly feeling like lazy, like not in the mood. For doing things. And then I did really see how my body became stronger, and also my mind. And thank you very much for mentioning that. Like, it's a daily thing, it's a daily habit, and it's more about the lifestyle. When you make healthy eating a way of living, and not something like a shot that you take from time to time just to feel that you are taking care of your body.
Exactly. And I think that's like, you nailed it. It's about not like just being like, okay, I'm going to shock my body back to health. It's just daily, every day. I mean, our body is pretty amazing. It can clean itself. It can do all the detox that it needs to do. But what we need to do is make sure that we optimize it for that job. So, if you know that you plan on having pizza and Ben and Jerry's in the nighttime, have a salad in the day, just to keep things in working order so that it's just balanced. I think that's really what it comes down to. That's sort of my pillar, is that you can still eat delicious food, but you can also still be balanced in your approach to wellness too.
Yeah. And I also heard many people telling me, hey, but we only have one life, Like, I do not like salad. I like chicken wings and Coca-Cola.
Well, honestly, the food that I make is not a sacrifice in flavor at all. So when people come at me with that, was like, well, I want to enjoy my food. It's like, I will show you how to do that, because the food I make is healthy, but it's also delicious. And at the same time, people say, oh, I want to live my life. It's like, do you want to live your life tired, fatigued, sluggish, not feeling, your stomach hurting all the time, having headaches? I mean, that's not a life that I want to live personally. So it's like, you have to assess the quality of your life the way it is, eating really poorly, and then what your life could be like, still eating delicious food, but with more of a focus on health and optimization, and how you can sort of see the benefits in that way.
Yeah. And thinking in the long term, because some of us, I guess, we are very much focused on the moment and we are like, oh, I'm just going to enjoy this. And then you don't think that every little moment kind of adds up to, maybe this feeling of heaviness or not really feeling energized. I wanted to ask something else about the emotional aspect of eating.
Oh, okay.
Do you help clients with that too?
I think that when I work with clients one-on-one, that's just like a natural thing that happens, because food has a lot of feelings around it. I mean, people eat to celebrate. We eat to make ourselves feel better if we're sad. We eat when we're happy. We eat like to bring people together. Food has so much more of a ritual toward it than any other process I think that we do in a day. But I think that one of the reasons, especially in North America, where I think that food has become so emotional, because it's something that we pacify ourselves with. If we're happy, we use food. If we're sad, we use food. If we want to show love, we use food. And so I think we have to remember that food is just food. It's really like once living, but now inanimate objects that we eat for fuel. And so tying so much emotion to it can be, for some people, it's fine. They, when they're happy, they eat food, but they also have balance, so it's not that big of a deal. But some people put all their eggs in the food basket, and they use it as a comfort or as like I said, a pacifier. So I think it's really about determining what they're using food as a replacement for. So are they using food because they're lonely? Are they using it because they're sad? Are they using it because they're scared of branching out and doing other things, and food is their company, and they don't, you have to look at sort of like the basis of it. And I think when you work with someone, especially as a nutritionist, talking about food habits and when people eat and why people eat and were you hungry and all those sort of factors, you really start to understand why people do it, just based on timing. You know, people who eat really late at night, it has to do with boredom and loneliness. People who eat, you know, they don't eat at all, and then they sort of like binge when they're alone. Food has to do a lot in a way with shamefulness, feeling bad about eating in front of people. And so that all starts to come to light when people start doing food journals and noticing a pattern. And I'll be honest, there's some people who have food issues that are like way above my pay grade, where it's like you need a therapist for that. But then there's some people who it's just they're not even aware. So it's like the awareness starts to bring about change. So it kind of depends. I did have a client who came to me because she was an emotional eater, and she was addicted to food. And so I worked with her therapist, and we worked together to sort of make a plan, because this woman couldn't even be involved in the planning process because it was just so mental for her. But I mean, that's a situation where it was like, okay, you need mental support, but I will give you the nutritional support to sort of bolster that. But in some cases, it's just like, I don't know what I'm eating. I don't know why I'm eating. And then it sort of all just becomes clear as we work together. So it kind of depends, really.
Yeah. And it's also, I guess, very personal. I mean, like this woman, for example, that you mentioned, I guess that was a very big step for her to come and ask for help from you, and then accept therapy as a solution too. So yeah, good.
Well, I realized, and I think that because this woman was, she was a workaholic, she was an alcoholic, and she had sort of like gotten rid of those, and then food became her addiction. So again, it was about something much deeper. But when she finally was able to deal with the deeper everything, she was able to shed some of the problems that she was having with food. But again, it's about acknowledging that sometimes it's not about the food. Food is just a fill-in for something else. So
yeah. I would like to touch upon something more tangible, because we spoke about feelings and that part. So what does business success for you on this career path look like?
Well, it has a lot of different looks. Financial success, of course, because I want to pay my bills. I love traveling. I love nice things. I mean, let's be honest. But also feeling like my message is actually helping people. I think if I was just to look at it as I just want to make money, that's not very fulfilling. But what I love is when I go to a class or I get an email from someone saying, oh my gosh, that last email was amazing. I didn't know you could do this, that, or this thing. Or when I do a Facebook Live and people say that really helped them, that's, I mean, another measure of success. Of course, I want monetary success because we live in the real world, but I also want what I do and what brings in money to be helping people at the same time. And I think, you know, there has to be a purpose to what we do, especially as entrepreneurs, because it can be really hard. I mean, it can be a hard road. And so if you're just doing it for money, it's going to be even harder. But if you have a purpose behind it and you're actually helping people and seeing that tangible change in people, that sort of gets you through and bolsters you through the hard times that do come. I mean, life is full of hiccups, let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a driving force, giving meaning to what you are doing. And I think it's beautiful. I think that all people that I met throughout my life were driven by this, by the fact that they can contribute in a way through their passion.
Yes. And I think that as women entrepreneurs, not to dog on the men, I mean, I love men, but I think as women entrepreneurs, we lead in such a different way. You know, we think about us, but we also think about those around us. That's just like a very feminine energy. And so if a woman can rise up and be successful in her business, it will change the world because she's able to influence people around her, and then they can rise up and then they can influence. It's just like a ripple effect. So I think women who are thinking about starting a business should start a business if it's definitely a purpose-driven one, because we need more women out there like that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing that message. And it just brought in the opening, because I'm very curious about something else. I was discussing with one of my friends, and we were saying, hey, you know, when sometimes you go to a restaurant and like it's the same restaurant or it's the same food, the same recipe, and for one reason or another, it doesn't taste the same. And we were talking how the energy of the person that is preparing the meal is very important.
Totally.
Yeah.
Completely. I 100% agree with that. Energy is important. And I think that women come at business and leadership with a different energy. Not to say a male energy is bad, but there's some people who don't thrive under that type of energy. But a female energy definitely comes with a little bit more empathy, a little bit more compassion, not in all cases, but as a generalization for sure. And I think that can be a really supportive environment to build more female leaders, you know, and also for young girls to have the example of women running really successful companies, but leading with this different type of compassion and empathy, then it builds that type of culture for other women coming up. I think it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And like putting to the ground all these limitations that we created in our minds, I think, about how a woman can't be successful at the level that a man can be, or that maybe women are more family, be closer to the family and should help. And it's funny because it's 2017, right? It's
I know. It's crazy that we're still having this conversation.
Yeah. 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 And I was just thinking about, I heard something a while back, about how some people are goal oriented and some are process oriented. And I think that for women, it's about kind of intertwining both of them. So like knowing the goal, but also how it is that I'm going to go there. That is important.
Yes, I think that's so important. But I think, again, it's because I think that for so long, business was very male identified, you know, go for it, strive, push,
Hustle.
but hustle, right? But I think for a female energy is more like flow, you know, what's in flow, what feels divine, where's my intuition leading me, which for a long time, if you said intuition in a boardroom, people were like, okay, this person is crazy. But now it's starting to be recognized because there's all these women leaders who quote that as one of their ways of deciding and making decisions in their business was using their intuition, which is honestly so powerful to me because there's so many people who live and lead by intuition who thought that business wasn't for them, but now they can be included in the conversation.
And it's so liberating too, you know, because I think that intuition is not like being touched by the divine. It's about trusting yourself and being in your self-worth and in your power, standing in your power and standing by the decisions that you want to take.
Totally. I actually do a business workshop. It's called Confidence and Intuition because I think people have intuitive feelings all the time, but you have to have the confidence and the balls, pardon my language, to step into it. Because if you're getting the intuitive feelings, but you always sort of just like brush them off of like, that's wrong or whatever, you don't have enough confidence, then you never take that step. But if you have intuition, but you also have the confidence and the self-awareness and the faith in yourself, that can be a really powerful combination.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I'm so happy that we had this chat. I hope that many women will watch this because it's absolutely something that is very, very much needed. And I'm grateful to all the women who are showing up and are putting this message out there. And who understand that maybe for a long while we have been conditioned to believe that we are all in competition and
we're in it together, man.
Yeah.
When I think a rising tide raises all ships. So if one woman is, you know, ahead, it's her job, in my opinion, to help pave the way for other women coming up behind her. I think that's just like the essence of girl power you know, because we live in a male dominated world. And if we don't support other women, then who else is going to, right? Things will stay the same. So it's up to us as women leaders to forge paths for other women leaders.
Yeah. And also applaud the women who got there where we want to be. Many people were like, oh, she must have done some shady business to be there.
Yeah, right?
No.
Like, she's probably just really good at what she does.
And also educate the men to see things from a different perspective, because we have to understand, just like we have been conditioned to view the world in a certain way, each other individual has been conditioned to see the world like that. So for me, it's one of the learnings that I take, that my father and my partner and my cousins, they need to be exposed to a different perspective, to a woman, confident, powerful, beautiful and elegant and vulnerable perspective too.
Totally. And I also think that we have to include men in on the conversation too. I think to say it's all just women, it's like, but we live in a world of men. So we have to, and men, I think they're by and large, I mean, there's a small faction of men who are still very close-minded, but a lot of men, they either don't know and just need to be educated, but in a way that speaks to them. So not just coming down on them and be like, you guys did this, but just sort of including them on the experience. And this is what women experience so that they can understand and then sort of help our cause. Men need to be feminists too, because the way this is going to work and that we're going to have true change is if men are in on the action, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally stand by that. And I was also thinking about the word feminist and how it became like so negatively connotated. And
really? I do
have my theory about that, but we need to heal that.
Yeah. I think exactly, because I think some people are feminists, but they think of it as this really bad thing to be, and women who walk around hating men. And it's like, no, it's just about wanting to make sure that, women have the same opportunities as men. They're included in the same boardrooms. They're included in the same decision making that really affects the world. I think that's so important, and more women leaders means that there's going to be more policies and procedures that have women and children in mind. Quite honestly, when you just look at when it's just males running the show, it's kind of different. But when you look at countries and places where women have seats at the table, it's a completely different situation. And I think we need to use those as examples to show that inclusion of women is really important for the furthering of the human race, quite honestly.
Yeah, and there is also the economic factor. So there are stats about how the economy would grow exponentially if women are paid at the same level as men. So everybody has to win out of this situation. But of course, there is the process where you have to go through fear and doubt, because it has been like this for so many years that now, right when you take for granted something and change comes, we tend to be reticent towards that. Not because it's something that we like, just because it's something that we
don't know. Because they're just, and we have to make it an inviting space for them to be like, okay, well, we're changing, but this is the beauty of this change. And I think the onus is on all of us to make change an inclusive process and not an exclusive process. Oh, yes, I can't hear you. Sorry, your sound is gone.
What about now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. Perfect.
This happens. I don't know.
Maybe it's when you hit the 30-minute mark.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
I can't think about that, yeah.
Yeah, that was just a thought.
It might just be that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bianca. It was a lovely, lovely talk. Is there something else that you'd like to add? Because it was so enriching, so powerful. I know, we
talked about so many things, but if people want to join my free Facebook group, it's called How to Eat with Bianca. And there's always recipes and meal planning tips, but meal planning for the real world. So it's not like a huge laundry list. I show you how to just make meal planning a part of your life, no matter how much time you have to dedicate to it. I also have my Facebook page, my public figure Facebook page. It's just also How to Eat with Bianca. And my website is biancaosbourne.com. So those are where you can find me.
Yes. I placed the link for the Facebook page in the Facebook. The website, and also this is Instagram, right?
Instagram. Yeah, that's where you can see all of the recipes that will be in the Facebook group.
Yeah. And they do look delicious. I was taking a look just before that.
Nice.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, right? And I promise you, they're easy to put together.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bianca. I'm a part of the group, so guys, do join the group and do your best to eat healthy and stay tuned. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye. See you next week. Bye.